just another family trip down to the lake and things go wrong. Luckily, this car was able to hit the brakes and avoid a close call. Welcome back, guys, to this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. Speaking of close calls, let's go ahead and make that our subject this week. For some reason, close calls are something that seem to happen quite frequently out on the water, and they can have very different outcomes. Sometimes there will be no effect whatsoever, and sometimes things can end, well, pretty bad. Here we see a very fortunate one where this boat just makes a narrow miss and a super close call.
Damn pirates! Golly!
For whatever reason, bridges seem to be one of the number one things that have close calls out on the water. And of course, these instances can occur for many different reasons. Maybe it's a new captain who doesn't quite know the height of his vessel, or maybe it's just such a close call that when they eyeball it, they're like, yeah, we can probably make it. But whatever the reason is, bridges always seem to win these battles. And the crazy part is, most bridges on major waterways have their height listed, so most of the time this is due to lack of paying attention. The other major cause we see of this is a lack of patience. Too many captains are in a rush out on the waterways, and so sometimes that bridge will be the shortcut they decide they want to take versus having to go the long way around. Or they just don't have the patience to wait for that bridge to open, they decide they're going to go for it and try and full send it across that anyway. Now, bridges aren't the only place we see close calls as boaters. Heck, sometimes it'll happen before we even get out on the water. We'll just go out there trying to get our trailer loaded up, and the next thing we know, things get out of hand and just wind up getting away from us. And things can turn to a crazy scene pretty quick. Kind of like this gentleman experiences here. The trailer kind of gets away with him, but you know what? The car gets away with it as well. This guy's got to be some kind of boating ninja though with these reflexes. Somehow he races down the hill, hits the e-brake on the trailer, notices this truck's coming back down the hill, and still able to get inside this vehicle and bring it to a stop before it even hits the trailer. This is actually not a fail at all. This is a win. But of course, not every boater on land is going to have these ninja-like reflexes, and we're going to have some accidents here and there.
Hey Broncos Guru, I think you're going to like this. Conservation officer has a boat trailer, but no boat. It was on the road.
Of course, not every close call will end badly. Sometimes we'll catch a lucky break and things will just roll our way. Close calls can happen as well just by us doing things we probably shouldn't be doing. You ever see that guy out on the water, you just look at him and think, what in the world made them think that was a good idea? Kind of like this guy here who decided he was going to help his comrade unload his anchor off the boat, but whoever came up with this idea, well, it was terrible, and my man almost loses his head over it. If close call is in the dictionary, this guy's picture's got to be right next to it. Or how about that time you guys took the old fishing boat out? You were coming back into port, and you guys decided you were going to let Bobby handle the mid-cleat lines. Only Bobby, you forgot, is never allowed to handle anything because Bobby has a little bit too much fun out on the water. And this is the scene when Bobby does do that. But you know what? These guys are at least prepared. Watch what happens here. All these guys start asking for cameras. Captain over here wants his phone. This guy behind him is going to pull out his phone. And instead of going to help Bobby, we're just going to sit here and record Bobby. I have to imagine that this is payback for something that Bobby did out on the water earlier in the day. How about that time you were over at your grandpa's and you found that parachute in the closet? That sounds like a good idea, right? Let's break that thing out. And of course, one of the other ones out there, sometimes close calls on the water can be made by things you can't even see, kind of like these submerged sandbars. Or how about the guy who's back here pushing by the motor? This has got to be the closest call ever. My man has his hand on the motor as they're trying to power their way through this. How he's leaving this incident with all his toes is absolutely a miracle beyond me. Or when you and the family decide you were going to come in and we're going to try and take this shortcut in through the inlet and all of a sudden realize, well, there's a sandbar there as well.
Stuck on the sandbar outside Bimini Cove, way off of the channel.
I have to imagine this one's going to have one heck of a sea tow bill trying to get this thing off the bar. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening on your waterways, be sure to hit me up on Facebook or Instagram and let me know, and you might see your stories over here. Just like JR Martinez 3Z, Tugboat Larry, Jibbin' with Nixon, Logan McHugh 3, Isaac Mall, Fetty Pug, Ready for Yes Who, James Ashton, Ken Noak, and Cruisin' Lady A did this week. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here.